I bought into that concept, kind of hook, line, and sinker, that the food was the problem, and there are ingredients in the food that makes the food addictive. You're housing a whole bag of chips. You're housing the whole thing of the Cheetos.
Mhm.
And I can't, yeah, you're like, I know you want to talk. And because
I'm stuffing my mouth.
so I'll bite my nails in the meantime. But I do not hold that stance. I do not believe that. I think that's one narrative out there. To, if you want to understand the food system and what's in our food, fantastic. However, how is it then? How would you explain, for the past 7 years plus of my life, I've been able to eat one chocolate chip cookie or half a chocolate chip cookie and leave it, or share it and break it off and legitimately want to share it with other people and not feel weird about food scarcity or any of that stuff, where I used to have to throw the cookies out because I didn't even trust myself because I would house the whole thing.
Mhm.
So I believe the most powerful stance is, okay, I understand the ingredients, but I am the choice of that. They are not telling me what to do. I get to choose. So I just take my power back over that. And it's good to, I mean, there's a whole science module about understanding our body and food and things like that. However, at the end of the day, to me, that's stealing the power. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
wait, you're gonna tell me this is something I can't control, and I don't buy it, and it's not my experience.
Mhm.
So what are your thoughts on this?
Here we go.
Here we go. Buckle up, baby.
Uh-huh. Addiction is completely much like depression and anxiety, where it is it's a chemical imbalance in your brain. When an alcoholic, I must just speak for alcohol because there's drugs too, and that's the same thing, but I'll talk from my experience with alcohol. When an alcoholic takes their first drink, there is this thing called the God, I can't think of what it's called right now. I'll remember as soon as I stop talking to you, but there is a actual trigger. The chemicals in the alcohol triggers my brain to not be able to stop. It is to explain it to somebody who is not an alcoholic. Picture like yourself on a really, really hot day, and you're sweating, and you finally get that glass of water, and you drink a couple gulps, and for some reason your brain says keep drinking. Ever have that experience where you're like, I just can't stop drinking this because I am so thirsty. I need to keep drinking because my body's so thirsty. The same thing happens with alcohol addiction. What happens is I will never get fully full of an alcoholic beverage. Okay. Um, Not the same with food. Okay. I could binge cookies, but I will eventually get full of cookies.
Mm-hmm.
I will never, ever, ever get full of alcohol. It is like chemically impossible for my brain. So I have to not drink it. If I start the phenomenon of craving, that's what it's called. The phenomenon of craving kicks in, and that alcohol changes my brain chemistry to not be able to stop drinking until I'm passed out. I do not pass out eating cookies. I get sick eating cookies. Also, second thing that happens with food is that I will not. It doesn't change the way. I mean, I'll get bummed out. I'll feel sick. I might have a day where I'm sluggish because I ate all those cookies, but I am not going to have the cops called on me. I'm not going to lose my license over it. I'm not going to go to jail. My husband and I am not going to fight over food.
Mm-hmm.
It's such an insult to addicts when people say, there's actually this funny story that I think it's in the big book of a guy who was in rehab, And the rehab was brought to this food pantry, and these really nice people were doing like a special Thanksgiving for these people who were in rehab. And it was one of those things, like a church or something. And the lady talked to him, is like, oh, how are you doing? He goes, oh yeah, it was like 2 days now, I'm sober and whatever. And she's like, I totally understand what you're going through because I'm addicted to sugar. And he's like, fuck off. Like, if there is this addiction quality there. It's definitely close, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's definitely close because we do crave sugar. We do crave fatty foods when our body wants it, when our body needs it. But the idea that you're addicted to sugar it's very, very much like, why are you using that verbiage when addiction just destroys families and destroys lives and all that. So that's my little science lesson by Mandy. The difference between alcohol addiction and food. I would say food is more of like, for me, I am definitely not addicted to food. I enjoy binging. Because of the concept of my enjoy isn't the right word, but I would be more apt to binge cookies. Let's just go on that because of the way I'm feeling that day. I'm feeling like shit. I want a sugar high. I'm feeling tired. I want some chocolate. I'm feeling tired. I want some caffeine. Things that have addictive tendencies, because I could crave it. But it's not like, I'm not going to wake up tomorrow morning shaking because I need a cookie. And if I don't get a cookie, I don't know the next time I'm going to feel good. It's completely different.
Yeah.
Says me.
And I think there are, binge eating disorder can be pretty severe and I've definitely worked with women that they would be sick for days. And there would be this element, their head is completely focused on the food fixing instead of me dealing with my life. It's like a whole way of escaping. So I think there are parallels, but I'm with you on, I hear like the sugar addiction thing is thrown around the media all the time. And I think I think a lot of people are looking for answers and they want some validation that they're not crazy or something's going on. And I just want our program to get out there is what I want. Yeah, that's what I want, because you can listen, taking in some of the science or some of the information can be helpful. But if you're using it to be like, oh, it's just a sugar addiction. So what are you going to do? Cut all the sugar out of your life for the rest of your life? I mean, it's not even realistic. It's just another diet. It's going to swing into some other pendulum of some sort. It's just more manipulation. So, okay, that's one narrative is sugar addiction. That's one narrative. Is it really helpful for you to get your life back, to buy into that there's some sort of sugar that's got a hold on you and you have no power? Right. I don't believe that. I don't think it's true. I have too many countless women in my program that have a different story about that. And it's like, well, how is it, again, how can I have like a half of a cookie, not even a whole cookie? I will that's all I want. How could that be?
Yeah.
So if I really have sugar addiction and that additive in those cookies took over my choices, and the potato chips, let's go with potato chips, because I think that's also this idea that once you open the bag, you're eating the whole thing.
Yeah.
I will show you the top of my refrigerator. I brought you guys into my kitchen before and I was doing lives. It's like I have, and there's open bags. Look at that.
I have like a couple, but this was my lunch. Yeah. I didn't want to finish it.
Yeah, like having a few bites and legitimately leaving it. Or I open up, like a bag of chips and I'm like, I'm good with a few of them. And what happens this far in my relationship to food now is I may grab a bag of chips. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna snack on this. I have a couple of them and I'm literally like, I don't have an appetite for it because I'm like, that's not really what I want. What I like, there's other things like emotions. I need to have a conversation. I need to go take a walk. I need some other way that the chips are not really doing it for me. So I think that will happen over time too, with your own giving yourself permission to even explore that. Let me open the bag if I need it, but realizing like I have like 2 or 3 and I'm good.
Yeah.
I can do that with Doritos. I can do that with potato chips. I can do that with French fries. So if this whole thing of food is addictive, how do you explain that then?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Allowance thing. It's like I was talking. It's like think about a red ball, or
yeah,
don't think about a red ball.
yep.
It's the same idea. It's like, well, if I'm not allowed to have that, or the idea that I'm either on a diet or I'm off a diet. So when I'm off a diet, I'm going to eat a shit ton of cookies because I don't know the next time I'm going to have those cookies. That is what we're actually addicted to.
Yeah.
We're
Yes.
addicted to the concept of either we're on a diet or we're off a diet.
Yep.
Or either we need that.
Yep.
We're never full. We're
Yeah.
never full of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, so I think that's a beautiful way to end our conversation. The true addiction is being addicted to on a diet or off a diet. That's the real addiction.